Welcome to the Men of Honor podcast. My name is Curry, your host, and today we're going to be talking about how to have an intense orgasm. And this episode has been inspired by one of the guys I work with, and when I'm at work, I'm the same as on the podcast. I'm constantly giving advice, even unsolicited advice. I'm always giving advice. And a lot of it is because I'm sort of trying to figure out some of the concepts that I'm learning. So as I'm learning them, I'm trying to teach them straight away. So sometimes I don't really care that somebody's not listening, but sometimes there's a few people that would listen and actually see the value that I'm trying to give them. And when they do listen and apply, they actually get results. And that's the reason why I'm constantly talking about stuff, And in this case, one of the guys, we were talking about him and his girlfriend, that they do have sex. And I was saying that you can intensify the orgasm. And he said, how do you do it? So I started explaining to him. And I feel like it would have been better if I was showing on video, because he had the privilege to actually see it live when I was showing him what he needs to do. So he caught on to it quite easily. Whereas on the podcast on audio, I'm going to try and describe it the best I can. And then hopefully you can do the same. And then hopefully you can just have the same result. So basically, I was saying to him that we're talking about oral sex, and that he was saying that he is not comfortable giving oral sex, but obviously he would like to give an orgasm without having to penetrate. And he did say he knows that he has to stimulate the clitoris, so he does it with his fingers, which I said that's pretty good. And obviously I said to him to use lube. If you just go straight directly when it's dry, your hands are dry, it's very uncomfortable for the woman. So yeah, we went through that bit, and then I said to him, have you ever stimulated the G-spot? And he was completely clueless to what I was saying. And then I said to him, you have to imagine, for you guys that are listening, it's the two index fingers on your hand. So the one that you used to point, you don't use that one, and you don't use your pinky, is the two middle fingers. And I said you get inside to a vagina with those two fingers, and then you go 2 knuckles deep. So 2 knuckles deep, and as you go 2 knuckles deep, then you go up, and then you do this come here motion with those fingers. And when you do that, you need to be feeling some sort of ripple on the top of her vagina, and that's the G-spot. So you continuously rub that, and you can couple that with the clitoris. And so that's what I advised. Usually I'm just used to people just sort of saying yes and sort of trying to get me to stop talking. So all of a sudden today I met him, and he goes, oh my God, I tried that thing you said, and it's absolutely incredible. She's been like going nuts about it. So, and I thought I should make a podcast episode about this, because I think there is this misconception that that as long as she orgasms in terms of penetration, she's completely arrived. But there's other ways you can do it, because I think her intensity of the orgasm is also dependent on how much blood you can get to her organs. And I don't know if it's a case that there isn't enough blood in the organs, because the clitoris does get blood just like we do with an erection. So in terms of orgasm, it becomes even more intense if you continue stimulating. It's almost like massaging it. The more you massage it, the more it becomes sensitive. So that's the clitoris. But also, as you rub the G-spot, it intensifies the G-spot. And the other thing that didn't happen and could have happened is that when you do stimulate that, her urethra can fill up with a fluid, which may cause squirting. But most women would never squirt because they think that they want to pee. So they get the feeling that they want to pee, and then they'll hold it and then not squirt. And I guess if any of you guys have watched porn, you probably have seen it before. It's a phenomenon, but it's not it's actually a fluid that I don't know how to best describe it, but that's what causes squirting when you play with a G-spot. So yeah, so that was. I don't know if I've explained it properly because it's a lot harder to try and describe over audio, and I appreciate the fact of podcasting because the podcasting you have to try and be descriptive in a way that you can put pictures in people's heads, and this is quite a challenge. But I like this challenge because it makes me understand, or at least helps me to be better at delivering the lessons that I'm trying to teach, and especially the ones that I'm learning now. So this is stuff I learned while I was still in the game, when I was still out there as a pickup artist, and it's been something that one of the reasons why, even though we were not willing to commit to a relationship, girls will still want to be fuck buddies, basically, and they would want that because they would have that intensity of the orgasm and they would be craving that. And obviously some women who are listening to this might not think it's the best scenario, because I think most people do not want fuck buddies. They would want a relationship. But there comes a time in your life where you feel, I don't really want a fancy relationship, I'm concentrating on my career, so I'm okay with a casual arrangement. So that's it's not because they're bitches or anything like that. It's just because they are human and they like to connect, and that's one way of us connecting. And that's one of the complexities when it comes to love, relationships, and sex. That there's always that caveat that sometimes we want to put it all in a box of what society has told us, but there's different things that happen, and there's different desires, and depending on their life. So I don't know, I feel like I have to justify having sex as fuck buddies, but without that, I just thought I would make this episode talking about, intensifying her orgasm. And I think if there's any female listeners here that would agree that this thing where guys, they're so focused on having their own orgasm that they rush through her stimulation. So they rush, whether it's they actually do go down on her, everything is rushed, that she's aroused. So I'm gonna there's this script that they're going in the head. I'm gonna rub the clitoris a little bit, and then I will quickly lick a clitoris, and then I'll then go for my, maybe she gives me a BJ, and then I then go straight into whatever, and then it's just a rush to this orgasm, and the one thing is that if guys slowed it down, because when you've managed to actually get her to the point where she's aroused and you've seduced her to that point, the actual physical arousal that she feels, because there's two parts when it comes to arousal. There's the mental side of things, and then there's also the physical. When it comes to the physical, women tend to climax a little bit more different than guys. It's just that if you take your time with it, it intensifies the orgasm. And also, the other thing is, when you rush it, it's almost like when you imagine you cook the most amazing meal, or somebody cooks you the most amazing meal, and they just give it straight to you, and they give it to you in a heap. And in fact, let's put it this way: you go to a restaurant, your favorite restaurant, and you order your favorite meal, but they just stack it. It's just big, massive thing, and then they give it to you. While it's a favorite meal, it just becomes a little bit overwhelming, and you just feel like you're satisfied before you even have the meal. And this is what happens, that sometimes women might not even desire to be having sex because they don't feel like they're getting anything from it, really. They feel the raw end of the deal. Whereas if you went to this restaurant and then this plate was served up to you and it looked beautiful, and everything was presented beautifully, which in this case you're taking your time, then you will have a better experience. And this is what it is, that you are trying to create a better experience. Because I think when you rush it, you're also missing on the actual intimate side of things. And a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this. I'm not saying as though I'm perfect. I'm guilty of this. I just try and sometimes rush, and sometimes it's more. In fact, it creates more of a desire because you're showing investment, not just showing investment, but you are actually clearly investing time into her arousal process, and because of that, it intensifies the orgasm. Because wherever you invest, it creates value, and again, it's the same thing. Like when you invest that time into her arousal process, then it intensifies her experience. So hopefully that is helpful, and you guys can go and apply it, guys. If you have any results with this, can you please just let me know on Instagram, Kuri Mahamba. And again, also, if you know somebody who needs this, here lady, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I need to get my boyfriend to be doing this, then please share it with him, and so you can have crazy orgasms. Also, I mean, like, some of this stuff that I'm saying, this is from positive experience. It's I take it a little bit for granted, but me sharing to this guy, I was sort of sharing as though it was almost like off the cuff type thing when I was saying it, but to him it's become like the most amazing thing, most amazing discovery. And I thought that's quite interesting. And I don't know how many guys out there actually know about this stuff. I might be preaching to the choir, which I totally accept. By some time, if it's something new to you, then this is going to be incredible in terms of taking your relationship to the next dimension. So thank you very much, guys, for listening. And guys, if you want to learn more about this stuff, can you join the Men of Honor Facebook group? And if you've got any questions, get me on Instagram, Kuri Mahamba. Thank you very much. Seeing you soon.